with anxiety at work. My name is Angela and this channel is for people that want to crush their intrusive thoughts and behaviours fast. So I just wanted to do a video on work anxiety. It can show up when you're needing to meet deadlines. There's workplace bullying. You might not get on with some of your colleagues. It can also show up when you've got long working hours. If you're a manager trying to manage difficult employees as well, that can sort of cause workplace anxiety. And it can also just, if you just feel like you've got no control over your work environment, like everything's happening to you, that can also make you feel quite anxious at work. So the whole reason we go to work is to get paid. So say you could be in a position where you're overworked and underpaid. That can give you an enormous feeling of anxiety also. And also the toxic work environment, working with people that are basically not very nice, which can happen in a lot of places, but there are ways of managing that. You don't need to necessarily leave your job. You know, there are ways, once you know who these personality types are, there are ways that you can manage it. You don't necessarily have to leave your job. I know this can cause you some sort of can cause some people a lot of anxiety, but a lot of the time these people can actually be managed. So here's another side. If you are an actual manager and you're looking out for signs and anxiety in the workplace from your employees, some signs of work anxiety that you might not necessarily suffer from yourself, but you might need to sort of look this out for people that work for you perhaps. Some of the signs of workplace anxiety can be somebody taking unusually a long amount of time off work. It can also be overreacting to situations at work that you might consider to be overreacting. But to somebody that's suffering from quite a bit of anxiety at work, it can just seem quite overwhelming. And also people that focus on the negative aspects of work. I mean, come on, we all have days where we don't have the best days at work, but some people just seem to focus on the negativity a lot, and it can take a lot, especially if you're in a management position, to get that person out of that funk and try and sort of turn things around for them. But you can also end up sort of getting into that, you know what it's like when you're sort of chatting with a group of people, things might not have been going to plan on the project at the time, and you can end up having having those negative conversations that kind of spiral. So that's another sign that's there's anxiety within your workplace that needs some addressing. And also people, and this can be yourself as well, or people that's struggling to meet deadlines. So you can set yourself a deadline that you know is quite doable and is quite reasonable within that time frame, but some people might actually struggle with that. So that's another sign of somebody could be suffering from anxiety at work. The inability to concentrate as well on the task at hand. To you as an outsider, it might seem like some, really simple task, and I've experienced this myself managing people. You think it's quite a simple task, but it might be the fact that you haven't actually explained it that well. You're causing that other person to feel anxious because they might not think you're approachable. So a lot of times you can actually look at yourself, see, what am I doing? Is there other things that I could have done to make things easier? And as well as sort of recognising it in the workplace as well, to be able to sort of nip it in the bud. So there's also some good ways of coping with anxiety at work as well. And one of the main things is just to make sure that you've got a life away from work and that your whole life doesn't revolve around work. And also find things that make you laugh and smile. I know some of the best jobs that I've been in, and the jobs where I've felt the positions that I've felt the least anxious in, because let's face it, we all do get work anxiety. It's not just, there are times where everybody feels anxious at work. Let's not, it's not all of a sudden you're not going to feel anxious at work, but there are ways that you can overcome it. The best times that I've had have been with people that make me laugh. There's people that I have worked with that have literally made my entire work life just, I've loved going into work just to work with those people. So, if you end up finding a position like that where you are with people that are fun and that are, that just make the day better and make your work life a lot easier. I mean, I know a lot of the time, especially in project positions like I've worked in the past, there are heavy deadlines. There is a lot of work to be done and there's a lot of things to be met. But it does make a difference who your management team are, who the people are around you. So getting in those sort of working environments and getting in with a team of people that are fun to work with just makes a huge difference. And I'll go into some details on this on a later video, but there's ways that you can find out where these places are that you can work at that make sure they're a cultural fit to you, to your humour, to your values and to your personality. It really does make a massive difference and can improve your work life 1,000,000%. And like going on from that, so making sure when you are at work that you're taking breaks as well, away from, say your immediate team. Say there's people on your team that you don't necessarily get on with, try and take some breaks away and go and make some friends in some other teams, or perhaps go and meet some friends outside of work, and just to make that break whilst you're in work, breaking that time up as well, so that if your job is very stressful and you're finding it sort of really sort of difficult to concentrate, that you take those breaks away. Go and see somebody else that works in a different department, or just get out of the office, get away from your desk, get away from your workstation, and go outside, get some fresh air, meet up with some different people. Also, another good thing is just focus as well on your life outside work. Work isn't everything. Try and also reflect on the good things in your job. Nothing's bad the whole time. Just focus on some of the good things. Things are temporary. So, you can be having a rubbish day at work, but then the next day you can have a good day, and just try and focus on the good over the bad. And also really think about sort of the fears that you have and the anxiety you have around your work, and are they actually rational or not? A lot of the times you can build things up in your mind to be a lot worse than they are. Sometimes it's nice to just take a step back and just think about, what are these thoughts that I'm having about my job? Or is it the environment I'm in? Is it the actual work I'm doing? Really sort of take a time to sort of examine what it exactly is that you are feeling anxious over. When you actually sort of break it down and start looking at what the actual problem really is, you can actually see that there might be something else going on outside that you haven't dealt with, and it's just bleeding over into your work life. So that's another thing you can think about. That could be a reason why you're feeling anxious at work that isn't actually to do with your job. And if it's a new job and you're new to it, have you given it enough time? Are you just feeling anxious because you're not sure about, like I said before, about the task that you're doing? Is it the fact that you haven't given it enough time yet? You haven't been there long enough to really warrant knowing whether or not you do like your job or not? A lot of the times where I've been in places, it's because I haven't given them enough time. I haven't given the position enough time. I haven't given the people enough time. I haven't got to know the people. That could be another reason as well. If all that fails and you actually do think, look, this isn't for me, then it's time to start looking and to start updating your CV. And before you actually move though, because sometimes if you are just thinking that it's the job that's the problem, you really do need to examine what the issues are that you're facing so that you don't go into the same thing next time. Forget when you go for interviews as well, that I'll do another video on interviewing as well, anxiety over interviews, but don't forget when you're going for interviews, it's your chance to interview the company as well. Just have a real sort of a think about some of those things and just find out whether or not you really are anxious about work, or is it something else that you haven't dealt with. So I hope this video has been helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you'd like some more personalised advice, then please feel free to book a call, and the link is in the description below. Thank you very much for watching.